Well, I feel like everything's situational, right? Like there's situations where like really early on, there's a red flag and we just avoid it. Like we'll be maybe in the middle of like a sales process, and then someone's like, maybe it's me or maybe it's someone else in the sales team, and they're like, hey, like they said like this on the call, and like that's a little bit weird, right? It's like that is a little bit weird. Like I don't want to risk that causing issues with my team down the line. And same thing, like there's also like say it's a female on my team's like, yeah, that was a little bit creepy. It's like, man, I don't want to have my team working with someone who's like a creep. But there's times when we get tricked, right? I mean, people. It's one thing to talk to someone and go through a sales process with someone. It's another thing to actually have someone be paying you and open up their real communication channels. And that's where I've learned the most lessons, is having those tough conversations of like drawing a line in the sand. And I have to do that all the time. Not all the time, but like more than you think. Like have the hey, like you know it's just not working out. I'm really sorry. And those are not the funnest conversations to have, but like again, like end of the day, I need to preserve my team and maintain that flow state, because if I don't have that and I don't have my team's buy-in, then I don't have anything in my mind. We've learned lessons over the years though, like on our inquiry form, like we have certain questions on there that kind of are telling. Are you like, do you do CSR as one of them? And it's like, if someone doesn't fill that out, it's like, all right, like, like what? Why didn't you fill that out?
Right, right, right,
Sometimes they don't know what it means, or like, corporate social responsibility, or there's a couple other questions in there too that are a little bit telling. So, and then also in like the sales process, like asking certain questions, trying to catch a vibe. That's helpful, but yeah, like you get tricked and things change. People's perspective changes, relationships change. But yeah, I would say that like we're very, I would say very reasonable and very open to communication and like working things out, whether it's like early on in the life cycle with a client, or after years of working together and stuff like that. So
yeah, yeah. And I think with Puff as a brand, I think with a lot of people that you've partnered with or worked with, I mean, it's very clear that authenticity is really going to be a pivotal point in the relationship. Like you're going to have to show up as your authentic self, because, like you said, it's going to come out at some point, whether it's
yeah,
after money is involved or after more meetings, or something is said as an aside that they hope that you didn't catch. Like there's going to have to be some authenticity that kind of bubbles up to the surface, and that authenticity is going to affect how that person or that company or that organization shows up in the community, and that's going to
sure,
affect
for sure.
how the community treats them and how they see them. I think that one of the things that I wanted to ask you as well was, when you advocate for a company that you work with, or an organization, or whatever type of partner that you work with, and you say you need to go where the community is, you need to meet them where they are as who you are authentically, and not putting on some airs that you're not. Does that require a kind of ego death for a brand? So I guess what I'm asking is, like, how do you convince a potential vendor or partner or client that you're working with that they're not the main character of the story, even though they may think they are, because they're hiring you to bring them more visibility, to hopefully increase their revenue, but maybe their focus really needs to be their relationship to the community, and maybe that's going to be how they see that increase that they're looking for. Like, how do you convince a business?
Well,